welcome to ACC Interviews. I'm your host, Israel, and today I'm joined with Heather. Heather, tell me about what you do for work.
I'm a general accounting manager, pretty much overseeing most of what goes on the in the accounting department at the company I work at.
And how did you get into accounting?
I think of it as purely by luck. I was going to school for something else. I had an accounting class and decided this was easy, that is something that I could do, no problem.
And originally, what did you major in for college?
I originally started going as early education, but decided that after a couple of classes that it just wasn't the right thing for me.
And what kind of made you lean more to changing your major?
Like I said, I had an accounting class and decided that it just kind of clicked for me.
Mm-hmm.
I understood it. The math. There was a little bit of math, but it made sense. The pluses and minuses. Just basically balancing numbers.
Okay, and tell me about your favorite thing to do at work.
Most of the time it's just, calculating things in the spreadsheets. I like the routineness of it. I mean, every once in a while there is some little quick thing that needs to be calculated, but for the most part, day to day and month to month, it's fairly routine.
Okay. And would you say accounting is more computer-based or work, or like on paper?
With what I do, it's pretty much all on the computer. We're not yet delving much into AI-based stuff, so it's a lot of stuff being calculated using like Excel spreadsheets. I've become very proficient in Excel because of my job.
Okay, and here you mentioned AI. Do you see AI taking over the accounting career?
Not taking it over. I think it'll just be another tool. There's some stuff that is still quite manual that we do that could probably be, programmed.
Mm-hmm.
So that all we have to do is a couple of clicks or go into a special program and it spits out the report for us. And then we can spend more time actually analyzing what's going on with the business rather than calculating all the numbers.
Okay. And tell me some important skills you need that are required for your job.
Definitely have to have a good analytical mind. I mean, math does help, but kind of having an analytical mind, really wanting to dive into the stuff, asking, why things are the way they are and does it make sense. That's just something that I think's got to be at least innate to a person in accounting to succeed, or at least at the level, maybe higher management levels. There's not as much of the detail. You just have to rely on everybody under you doing their parts.
And tell me about some difficulties that you encountered in your career.
Honestly, the biggest difficulty sometimes has been when business is down and so they have to let people go. Mm-hmm. It just means that somebody has to take on that additional work, and so sometimes that can be a little difficult and create extra long hours.
Okay. And what are some pros we about your job?
Actually, pro is I love the people that I work with. We get along. We can, talk back a lot of talk back and forth. Well, okay, if you do this, that'll make what I do easier. If I do this, that'll make somebody else's, life easier. The entire department that I'm in, we're constantly talking to each other, seeing what can help. Somebody can take up the slack where, one part of the department struggles somebody else can pick up the slack when they don't have as much to do. So that
And-
as a whole we succeed.
Yeah, and that was a pro, correct?
Yeah.
And what was a con?
The con was just the when business is down and kind of losing people.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, what is something that you definitely do strive in when working?
Well, at this point, the thing that I strive is just that because I've been at my current job for 17 years, I know so much of what's going on that I can quickly kind of pivot. If something goes wrong, something changes, I can pivot quickly because I know the business well enough to be able to kind of change directions, adjust calculations. But it's never dull.
Yeah.
Accounting can sometimes sound dull, but
And I was gonna say, how's the environment at work?
it's good. Everybody gets along really well. The company I work for, we make frozen pizzas, so it's always nice to lunchtime go, I'm hungry. I don't feel like going out for lunch. I'm just gonna pull a pizza from the freezer and heat me up a pizza.
That sounds nice. And where do you see yourself in like the next few years?
My hope is that as we're in the process of trying to get some new business, get some new customers, and I'm really looking forward to kind of dealing with new products and calculating how much it costs and what kind of price we need to be selling it at.
And at work, what stresses you out the most?
Stresses me out the most has got to be feeling sometimes like people are not holding up their end of things, getting their stuff done. We just finished our end of month calculations, and a lot of the reports I have to do, I have to wait for other people on. So sometimes it gets frustrating waiting for other people to do their part so that I can do my parts.
And how do you communicate with somebody that's kind of slacking in their part of their work?
Most of the time, I just ask, I'll ask, hey, where's this, or what's the status of this? When can I get, when will this be ready? But it doesn't happen very often. I mean, we're pretty much generally working well together. It's just the sometimes where things get a little frustrating.
And how do you manage your time like wisely at work?
I'm a big person for lists. I mean, we've got like a checklist that we work off of at the end of the month of what things need to be done and who's responsible for them. But oftentimes I'll kind of take that list and make like a mini list that I can just cross off of so that I don't have to remember, or I don't have to be referring to a spreadsheet that tells me what I'm supposed to do. I can just have like this mini list that I can just cross off and kind of have it right next to my computer so I can kind of keep track of what needs to be done, even when my boss comes in and says, I need this, I need you to pivot and do this real quick.
Okay. And for example, let's say, you don't finish like in time, in like a timely manner. How do you work around that?
Well, I mean, stuff that goes to my boss and then his boss. I'm always communicating. This is where things are. This is when I think I can get stuff done. A lot of the spreadsheets and reports that I deal with, I've done them long enough that I have a better idea of how long it should take me.
And what's a piece of advice before we wrap it up that you'd give somebody that wants to go in this career?
Just love of numbers, love of understanding a business and what's going on.
Okay. Thank you for joining us. And that's a wrap for ACC Studio Interviews. Thank you for joining us, Heather.
Thank you.